If you are 65 or older, or if you are younger than 65 but have a disabling medical condition as defined by Social Security, this program is for you. If you provide caregiving to someone on Medicare, you should watch this. If your employment involves working with persons on Medicare, pay attention to this program. We're going to discuss how you can protect yourself and Medicare from frauds and scams. And joining us now is Shirley Murner. What is the SMP?
SMP stands for Senior Medicare Patrol. It's a cadre of volunteers who are highly trained to go out and educate beneficiaries of health care about how to protect their identity, how to read their Medicare summary notices, and how and where to report any concerns that they might have.
Is this a new concept? Has it been around a while?
Actually, this is a program that's been around since 1997.
Really?
As I said, there's one in each state. We have approximately 5,000 volunteers across the nation. In Iowa, we have 47 very highly trained active volunteers that go into local communities to teach beneficiaries. They act at perhaps senior centers, local events, host booths, give presentations to Rotaries and Lions Clubs across the state.
Let's meet some of these volunteers.
We're really kind of a grassroots program. You know, we're down here talking to the people that are getting scammed and that. So, you know, we work all the way up to DC with the FBI and FTC, but we're down here talking to the actual people that are getting scammed and are losing their money.
My initial attraction to this program is because it is a grassroots effort. I've always considered myself somewhat of a community activist, and I think it's important that we educate our community in many different ways, and especially our seniors about Medicare fraud, how to protect their Medicare numbers, how to watch for it, and maybe where to report it when they find it.
I would assume with all of this activity, one of the big issues may be some fraud and abuse?
Bob, that's correct. Millions of dollars, billions as a matter of fact, are lost each year to fraud, mistakes, and abuse. One of the ways that this happens is people's Medicare numbers are stolen. They're stolen in a manner of ways. They can be stolen by someone tricking you into giving out your number. They can be stolen by pickpockets. They can be stolen by purse snatchers. They can be stolen by dumpster divers. Once a criminal has gotten these numbers, they then file false claims to Medicare and receive the payments that should be going to legitimate providers. There are all kinds of ways that they can do this. Other criminals are actually fake providers. They claim to be a provider. They may have stolen a provider's number or purchased a provider's number or simply made a wild guess at a provider's number and gotten it right. So there are a variety of ways that this crime can happen.
And this is going on every day,
It's happening
all over.
every day, all over the country.
So the SMP, part of your mission is to educate people on this
Exactly,
issue.
exactly.
And to
And
coach
teach-
them a little bit on how to monitor it.
Tell them what the problem is and then how they can help correct the problem.
Hello?
Scam artists are contacting Iowans every day trying to get your Medicare number, threatening your Medicare benefits and the benefits of future generations. Protect yourself from fraud. Contact Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol to arrange a speaker for your community or local group.
You may be a target, but you don't have to be a victim.
Call 1-800-423-2449 or visit iowasmp.org. This commercial funded in part by a grant from the U.S. Administration for Community Living.
In light of all of the fraud and abuse and what have you, sometimes it's just an honest mistake, correct?
Very definitely, Bob. Millions of claims are filed each day, and granted, they're paid by a computer system, but a human being starts those computers. A billing clerk puts them in at some point in time. They can make a typographical error. For example, if someone goes to a podiatrist, they have a choice of billing between 5 toes and 10 toes.
Sure.
Obviously, 10 toes pays higher,
Sure.
but they're located very close together on the screen. A mistake could happen.
Sure.
Other examples are you could possibly have a CT scan instead of an X-ray showing up on your Medicare summary notice. So people are human. There are mistakes made, and we know that. But the important thing is, once a mistake has been made, it's very, very important to correct it.
Right. What if we don't do anything? What if we don't really tackle this problem?
We'll continue to lose billions, and that's with a B, a big capital B as a matter of fact, of dollars each year to fraud, errors, and abuse. But there's even a worse problem. If people don't read their personal Medicare summary notice when it arrives, they might, the next time they go to the doctor or their provider, receive services that they do not need. They might receive the wrong treatments.
Fraud happens all the time. What should someone do in the event that they suspect it has happened?
Bob, the first thing that they should do is contact the billing department of either their physician, the hospital, or the provider who provided the service and ask them what is on their record or if this happened or did not happen, so that they have an opportunity to correct that mistake. If they don't feel comfortable doing that, or if they don't get the answers that they really are looking for, then they need to call the Senior Medicare Patrol, and we will have a trained individual deal with them and help them solve that problem.
Recognizing that fraud happens all the time, let's look at an example of fraud through the mail.
Good morning, Sharon. Don't you just love getting packages in the mail?
I can hardly wait to open this package and read my new free cookbook written for diabetics.
That sounds great. How did you hear about it?
Last week I received a phone call telling me that managing my diabetes required the right combination between medicine and eating healthy foods. The caller said he would send me a cookbook filled with delicious recipes specifically designed for diabetics. All I had to do was give him some information.
Did you give him your Medicare number? I heard the Senior Medicare Patrol talk about this. It could be a scam.
Well, yes, I did.
You'd better check your next Medicare summary notice very carefully. I'll bet that caller charged Medicare for some medical equipment that you never received.
If you get caught in this Medicare scam, call Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-800-423-2449.
Joining me now is Deb Yankee. Deb, what we just saw, does that really happen?
It absolutely does. The person who called her before she got that package, they told her they'd provide her something free, but they asked her for a Medicare number. Mm-hmm. If that happens, if it happens to any of our viewers, they need to make sure to call Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol, because we can provide help to straighten out that record. First of all, if Medicare has paid for something that wasn't provided, we need to make sure the company returns the money. Secondly, if the caller was just an ID thief, then we need to help that lady with some guidance about who to contact, how to monitor her credit reports, how to monitor her Medicare statements to make sure that she doesn't suffer any financial loss and that her Medicare benefits are protected.
And that Medicare number is everything, isn't it?
It is. It's the key to everything.
Sure.
Well, our viewers today, I'm wondering if they have their Medicare card in their wallet or in their purse handy. Do they realize that the number that's on that card is a Social Security number? It's either theirs or their spouse's number. And a Social Security number is the key thing that an identity thief or a financial scammer wants to get from people. So we talk with people when we're making our community presentations about changing habits, and that is, don't take the Medicare card with you every time you leave the house. Yes, you need to take it when you know you're going to have a doctor's visit, but try to change your habit so it's not with you all the time. Another habit that we might need to change is not to be so free in giving our Medicare number if we don't know the circumstances under which we're providing it. So an example might be, let's not routinely sign a blank form that has our Medicare number and our signature on it unless we know it's being used for a claim for medical services that we had today. And so it's a matter of keeping in mind that's a personal piece of information, and we'll keep it to ourselves unless we need it for medical services.
Great advice. Now let's take a look at an example of scamming via the phone.
The most dangerous parts of flying typically are takeoff and landing. This flight in particular disappeared about a third of the way.
Hello?
Good afternoon. I'm calling you from the federal government's Medicare office to inform you that due to Obamacare, you will need a new Medicare card. In order to issue you the new card, I will need to verify some information. Is your name Ruth Turner?
Yes, it is.
Do you still live at number 1 Main Street Drive, Cedar Falls?
Yes.
Were you born in 1940?
Yes, I was.
The only other piece of information that I need is your current Medicare number.
Oh, I'll have to get it. Just a moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1.
Thank you very much. You'll receive your new card in the mail within a few days.
Okay, thank you.
If you get caught in this Medicare scam, call Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-800-423-2449.
After seeing that, Deb, I mean, it just reinforces the fact that you can never let your guard down, can you?
Not even in your own kitchen. It's common at the end of each year that scammers will call older individuals and say, you need to give us your Medicare number and bank account information in order to get your raise for Social Security next year, or in order to keep getting your Medicare next year. So our advice to people is, we know it's going to happen that you may get caught in a scam like this because you may be startled and give information that with an afterthought you realize it wasn't a good thing to do. So what should they do if this happens to them? If they've given out their Medicare number, and especially if they've given out bank account information, we invite them to call the Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol so we can help them, inform them about how to monitor Medicare statements, about the need for contacting their bank to alert them that their account might be compromised. And so we're available to help walk you through steps that you would need to take if you do fall prey to this scam. Don't be shy about admitting that a really clever con artist got you, because if it happens, you need to tackle the problem right away. We can help you do that.
So if you're suspicious, call.
Yes.
Here are 3 easy steps to protect Medicare and your Medicare benefits. Protect your personal information. Treat your Medicare number like a bank account or credit card number. Read your Medicare summary notice. Look for and detect discrepancies between services provided and those listed. Report incorrect billing. Protect, read, report. Call Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol or go to iowasmp.org for more information. This commercial funded by a grant from the U.S. Administration for Community Living.
Welcome back. We're talking with Deb Yankee, and Deb, the next thing we're going to talk about is the Medicare summary notice, which I will confess hit me as a surprise, the first one I got in the mail. But I was somewhat confused by it, and now I've learned a lot, but I want to learn some more.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad that you opened it. That's the first step. At the Senior Medicare Patrol, when we talk with community groups and people on Medicare, we always talk about, let's form a new habit. Let's make sure we read that Medicare summary notice when it comes. You know, we're used to looking at our mail, and quite often we'll sort out the bills first. Not because we want to, but because we have to. And then if there's some other mail and it's not quite as important, then we'll set that aside. Well, on those Medicare summary notices, it says right at the top, this is not a bill. I like to use the analogy that if I go to the store and I make a big purchase like a TV, I sign my credit card slip, go home, get the TV out, I'm excited. Eventually I look at that credit card slip. If I discover the store charged me for 2 TVs, I'm going to be back at the store in a shot telling them, no, you've got to give me credit. Well, you know, if Medicare pays for something twice for you, if an office visit gets recorded twice and they pay twice, who's going to know? The first person that's going to know is you, if you looked at your Medicare statement to see that they charged for 2 office visits. And that way, if you report that error to your doctor's office or clinic or hospital, they can easily make the correction. Money isn't misspent. Your Medicare benefits are protected, and it's all for the good of the program and also protecting your future Medicare benefits. So we often talk with people who feel a little shy about questioning their doctor's office or hospital. Obviously, we don't want our providers to feel that we're accusing them of fraud, but mistakes happen, honest mistakes happen. And medical providers would prefer to have a patient help them find an error, let them get it corrected, instead of having Medicare come for some kind of fraud investigation that wasn't necessary at all. If you cannot get answers to your questions or you don't feel that your provider has been able to help you with your concern about a mistake, then you need to call Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol and we can provide some assistance for you.
But the only way for that to happen is if we take some responsibility ourselves and monitor those reports.
First step, read the notice, right?
Okay, we've seen an example of fraud in the mail, by phone, and now at your door.
Oh, good afternoon. I'm Brad, and your doctor told me to come to your home and check your blood pressure.
Oh, what a wonderful service. Is there any charge for that?
Oh, no, not at all.
Well, go right in.
Sure. If I could check your pulse? Well, everything seems normal.
Good.
Please fill out this paperwork to prove that I was here, and don't forget to include your Medicare number. And I'll be back next week and recheck your blood pressure for you.
Okay, well, thanks.
If you get caught in this Medicare scam, call Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-800-423-2449.
Wow, Deb, seriously? They're coming to our houses now? Tell me about that.
Well, this is a good example of how we get startled and surprised and sometimes get hooked by a scam artist. Everything seemed pretty good until a red flag to Senior Medicare Patrol, and that is the visitor asked the gentleman to sign a form and include his Medicare number. Now, we don't know who this visitor is. He might be a simple criminal, figured out he can visit an older person, get a Medicare number, which is a Social Security number, and run some scam. Well, regardless, we don't have to know exactly who he is, but what we need to know is that visitor offering a free service, we just need to take a moment and think, this is not typical. And let me think carefully about this. Maybe what you do is you let the guy stay at your door a moment and you call your doctor's office and find out. Did you send somebody? If we're going to get any home health care provided by Medicare, any Medicare beneficiary will know that's going to happen because they will have arranged it with their doctor. They will have arranged it with the home health agency. They'll know somebody's coming and what they're supposed to do. It won't be a surprise visit. So again, the lesson in this scam example is don't be startled into giving out personal information and putting yourself at risk and your Medicare benefits.
In Iowa, by our nature, we're very welcoming. And what you're suggesting is that we really need to be on guard no matter who comes to our door.
That's right. It's just a change of our habit. We don't have to be rude to people, but we just need to have our radar up. And what we would say to any viewers or listeners today, if you've had this type of thing happen to you, we encourage you to call the Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol so we can discuss with you what happened. Did you give out any personal information? And then figure out how we can help you prevent problems or resolve any problems that may have resulted from that.
An estimated $100 million is stolen from Medicare in Iowa each year. Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol is fighting Medicare fraud, but we can't do it alone. We need your help.
I'd rather be golfing but this is more important.
If you're interested in volunteering, contact Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-800-423-2449 or visit iowasmp.org to learn more about volunteering to keep Medicare healthy. This commercial funded by a grant from the U.S. Administration for Community Living.
Well, Shirley Murner is back with us, and we've certainly learned a lot about the Medicare fraud and abuse and the Medicare summary notices. And Shirley, you're back with even some more tips.
I am, Bob. Reading your Medicare summary notice is extremely important. It's also kind of difficult to do. So we have a few tips that will make it easier for people. The Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol suggests that people ask for a written summary of their visit before they leave. It's also important to keep that summary at home with you until your Medicare summary notice arrives. The second thing we suggest that you do is either keep a journal or write down on a calendar each visit, what tests and treatments you received, and the date that it was done on. Also keep that information until your next Medicare summary notice arrives. Now, when your Medicare summary notice arrives, take your office summary and your journal and compare it to the dates, the tests, the times, and then you know if your Medicare record is accurate or not. Some things to look for are things that are more expensive than were really done, like a CT scan instead of an X-ray, a charge from someone who isn't your doctor, a charge for a service that you didn't receive. If you find one of these things, someone else might be using your Medicare number and you don't even know it. The fourth one is equally as important, and that is to inform yourself about your own coverages. Everyone receives a Medicare and You handbook, anyone that's on Medicare, each year. Read that carefully to find out what services are covered, what you know. If you happen to have a Medicare Advantage plan or a drug plan, read the information that they send to you each year so that you know what services are covered. Then you will know when you're reading that Medicare summary notice if you're being billed for services that are covered or not. So again, it's important that you be proactive. It's your health, it's your health care record, and it's federal taxpayers' dollars that are being at risk here.
Sure, and it reinforces what I think we've agreed upon earlier, which was to avoid being a victim of fraud or scams does require some responsibility.
It does,
on
and it's
our part.
easy. It can happen to anybody, but it can be at least warded off in certain things if we inform ourselves and remain informed individuals.
We always talk about the lady in northwest Iowa that questioned a charge, a $10 basically charge on her MSN, and turned out saved Medicare over $1 million. So one $10 charge, can result in some good savings.
All at some given point in time, we are all going to be seniors. So it's passing it down to the next generation, and they're coming up. They're coming up. So let's start decreasing that amount of money that Medicare has lost, and it's now our turn to step up and do something about it instead of talking about it. We're done talking about it, so let's do something. And that includes you.
Shirley, you and Deb have shared a lot of great tips for us, very informative on what's going on with Medicare fraud and abuse. But we have to take that responsibility that we keep talking about, because if this system is going to be there for my grandsons, then we have to make sure that we are paying attention to all the tips that you've offered. So you have a few more that you'd like to put into the summary?
First of all, we've talked about it, but I'm going to repeat it. Protect your personal information. Keep it from falling into the wrong hands. Medicare numbers are being stolen by criminals to defraud Medicare. They're being done daily. Actually, as we speak, somebody's identity is going to be stolen. When you receive a call about Medicare or other health care insurances, get the caller's name, get their business name. Never give out personal information to somebody that you do not know across the telephone. Try and write down what was said on that particular call. If something sounds really, really egregious, give Senior Medicare Patrol a call. There are all kinds of things you need to detect when there's errors in your Medicare summary notices, and you need to report it. It's one thing to find an error, but you have to do something about it if you find it. You've got to go ahead and report it, and the best place to report it is to the Senior Medicare Patrol, because we can help work through the error, but we also have connections with law enforcement and other agencies that are investigatory and take it on. The Senior Medicare Patrol doesn't investigate people. We simply pass that information on to the investigative bodies for legislative action. The fourth thing that you can do is you can become a volunteer for the Senior Medicare Patrol. We need people to speak in Iowa communities across the state, teaching groups and people how to protect their Medicare benefits. Our volunteers are highly trained. They're given background checks. We actually provide training and ongoing support and guidance and update them routinely on what's happening. Senior Medicare Patrol volunteers across the state are truly making a difference. They're helping save Medicare for future generations. And if you join us with the Senior Medicare Patrol, you too can make a difference.
Well, basically I seen it first of all in a newspaper ad explaining a little bit about the program, and it sounded interesting, and of course I was retired but really not looking for any volunteer work, but it sounded so interesting I looked into it, and it's been 4 years now that I've been doing it, and really enjoy it.
I think when somebody just gives a sigh of relief and says, thank you for helping me work through this, you know, that's a reward right there.
Being a good listener is 99% of my part of listening to what the people have to say, because they don't understand how easy it is to get scammed, because we're very trusting people. We trust others. And guess what? That society is almost over with, because now we have all these scammers. They're out foxing us, and we think we have it, and they're way ahead of us.
Well, we've learned a lot about Medicare fraud and abuse, and we've learned that we all have some responsibility to address these issues. But what's reassuring is that there's a group of people, a large group of people, who are familiar with the issues and are willing to help, the Senior Medicare Patrol. So if you have a question, don't hesitate. Give them a call. And thanks for joining us.
Hello?
Scam artists are contacting Iowans every day trying to get your Medicare number, threatening your Medicare benefits and the benefits of future generations. Protect yourself from fraud. Contact Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol to arrange a speaker for your community or local group.
You may be a target, but you don't have to be a victim.
Call 1-800-423-2449 or visit iowasmp.org. This commercial funded in part by a grant from the U.S. Administration for Community Living. Here are 3 easy steps to protect Medicare and your Medicare benefits. Protect your personal information. Treat your Medicare number like a bank account or credit card number. Read your Medicare summary notice. Look for and detect discrepancies between services provided and those listed. Report incorrect billing. Protect, read, report. Call Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol or go to iowasmp.org for more information. This commercial funded by a grant from the U.S. Administration for Community Living. An estimated $100 million is stolen from Medicare in Iowa each year. Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol is fighting Medicare fraud, but we can't do it alone. We need your help.
I'd rather be golfing but this is more important.
If you're interested in volunteering, contact Iowa Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-800-423-2449 or visit iowasmp.org to learn more about volunteering to keep Medicare healthy. This commercial funded by a grant from the U.S. Administration for Community Living.